Thank you, Martin Ashu, for joining in. Thank you, Felix. Thank you, Do. Thank you, Lisa, for joining in. Uh, I want to thank all of you that are tuning in. Here again, I will be broadcasting live here from the great state of Texas, here in United States. So if you just joining in, I will be broadcast live on my Facebook and on my YouTube as well. So I want to thank Priska for joining in. And if you're just joining, I want to take a moment to thank all of you. No problems. I'm back. Collins for joining in. Thank you so much. And I will be broadcast live from YouTube and on Facebook. And the title, as you all heard, the Southern Cameroon Federal Republic, now the Federal Republic of Ambazonian War of Independence. So I just want to take a moment. If you just join in, make sure you share. So there are several ways you can always get me live. You can always get me live on my Facebook and on my YouTube. So either way, you should be able to get me live. And thank all of you that are tuning in this afternoon or this evening, depending on what time you may have wherever you are. It is important that we take this matter up seriously. And we are bringing this to attention of the fellow international community. Thank you, Eno, for joining in. Thank you, Kingsley, for joining in. And if you just join in, make sure you share the message. So let's get the message across. And share. Share is the greatest way to bring informations to the various areas where they needed the most. So you can always get me on my Facebook and on my YouTube and also live broadcast. And you can always come back and watch the message again. And I want to take a moment to thank all of you that are tuning in this afternoon. Thank you, Muhammadu, for watching. Thank you, Obed, for watching. Another important is to share the information. Thank you, Ndasi, for watching. And thank you for that encouraging message. So I want to thank all of you. We have our brothers and that is watching from Paris. And wherever you are, if you are here in the United States, if you are in whatever state here in the United States, if you are in Ground Zero, if you are in La Republique, if you are in Europe, if you are in Nigeria, if you are in Asia, if you are in Russia, wherever you are, we are all together in this business on behalf of the people of Ambazonia and on behalf of the people of the sovereignty of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. We have, in the past decade, within the past 56 years, we have witnessed and the most repressive government of a neighboring country in our territory. And so we began to ask ourselves, who are we? Who are we? We are a people. We are a citizens. We are recognized people. But yet, We have a repressive system that overrides our people. And this is the moment, this is the time that we need to come together as a one unified entity against that particular repressive system to liberate our people for a common good of our people. And that is the moment that has come, and that we must stand together. And in doing so, we will free and build a nation that one will ever respect it. Our people have all they need, but we have a terrorist government of a neighboring country that you may take it for a girlfriend, but I take it for whatever a cohabiting relationship. But however, I will be talking today about the state of Ambazonia in the advent of repressive system. But I want to take a moment to thank all of you that are tuning in. And I want to thank you. And if you briefly indicate below, and that gives me some kind of analysis where you are tuning in from. And here again, my name is Fulton Daniel. I will be speaking live here from the great state of Texas, here in the United States. Before I dive into the point, there is some clarifications that I want to make for people to understanding. You know, we are going to function, the Ambazonia is going to function in a federal system. When they talk of federal system, people think we are going to federal with a neighboring terrorist government of La Republique. No, that's the point of correction that people are mistaken. I want to make, sorry for that interruptions. I want to make a point of correction. Ambazonia is a nation. The southern Cameroon, now the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, is a nation. So as a nation, Ambazonia is going to be functioned into a federal state. So a federal state, which means all the various states, all the various stating can become a state. And that means they are not going to be federating with La Republique. Point of correction, because I've seen many areas where people point this out and they often confuse many. So Ambazonia is going to function as a state. So each state, just like here in the United States, whether 50 or 51 states, make up the United States of America. And each state is going to have an independent, elected governors, elected officials, council, and this. I am going to devote time to clarify what is a federal system of government. Because we have one time talked about federating with La Republique, and so it often confuses many people when we talk about federal structure of Ambazonia. It means Ambazonia is going to function in a federal system of government. And so in doing so, they're not going to federate with the terrorist government of La Republique. Let's take, for example, Ngokutunja is going to be a state. So Ngokutunja is going to be a state. So if Ngokutunja is going to be a state, it means Ngokutunja is going to elect a governor. And that governor is going to be in charge of that state of Ngokutunja. And Ngokutunja is under the federal government of Ambazonia. Does that make sense? So when they talk of a federal system, doesn't mean that they're going to federate with La Republique. So Ambazonia is going to function as a federal government in Ambazonia, not with La Republique. That is a distinctive clarity that I want to make people understand, because there's always that confusion that people often misinterpret. So you cannot state and independent of Ngokutunja, because Ngokutunja is not a country. Ngokutunja is a state. So therefore, Ngokutunja is a state in the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. So by default, Ngokutunja is not an independent, but a federal state within the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Does that make sense? So I want to point this out because many people are often confused between what is the federal system of government of Ambazonia. So Ambazonia is going to be a federal system of government. That doesn't imply that they're going to federate with a terrorist government of La Republique. So that is a clear distinction that I want to make people to understand. And I will be coming with this topic more and to analyze more as people move forward. And as we move forward in this era of the sovereignty of the Southern Cameroon. So, with respect to the city, let's take, for example, Mezam, the city of Mezam. Mezam going to have a city council. Under the federal structure, the Mezam going to have a city council. The city council will be headed by a mayor. The mayor, let's take for example Boya. Boya will have a city mayor, but there won't be a governor in that state, in Fako. But then we have a city mayor. The city mayor will elected within the council member of that particular city. So the city will appoint a manager. The city will search for a brilliant manager. So the manager is going to operate in the city. He's going to operate the day-to-day running of the city. So a city manager is going to be appointed or selected from a candidate. And the city councilors are people elected by the local government. So the local government elected city councilors. And the city councilors that are elected will vote. Let's take, for example, one of the bill is to increase water project within the Fako, or water project within the Ngokutunja, or city taxes within the Ngokutunja. So what the city council, and this city council is open to the public within them to participate when there is a deliberation going on about whether to decrease or increase taxes within the Ngokutunja, within the city. Let's say, for example, the city of Ndop. Ndop is under Ngokutunja. So let's say the city of Ndop decided that they want to increase a tax. So those discussions will be debated by the city councilors. The city councilors are members elected by the city, the local city, and they will select among their own candidate that choose to be elected. And those have a term limit in which those city councilors will be elected, and they will have a mayor. So the mayor runs the city. And so the mayor, if the mayor will choose whatever someone expert, like in the police, let's say the city wants a city police, and so the city will choose the most brilliant individual candidate, and the city will debate whether if they will accept that particular candidate or several candidates are submitted by the mayor as a potential candidate for the city mayor or the city manager. So in doing so, it helps facilitate a smooth running of the government, including the citizens of Ambazonia within the area of jurisdictions. So I'm going to give a snapshot of what our Ambazonian federal system is going to look like. So because there was some state of confusion that many people tried to ask. So I'm trying to clarify that, and I will be going more detailedly on those areas and how the federal state of Ambazonia is going to be functions. But now let's look at what we were talking about is Ambazonian. So I'm sure if you are not clear, then if you have any questions or you have any point, we can talk about it later. But for For the sake of today's message, I want to bring attention to the United States government. So the president of this great nation's United States has been a very vocal point for the total liberation of the world. So I want to take a moment to thank the United States Congress. I want to take a moment to thank the United States Department of Defense. I want to thank the State Department. I want to thank the White House. I want to thank Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley is the United States permanent representative to the current United Security Council that will be holding in due time from now. I think it's from the 18th of September. So Nikki Haley is currently the Security Council president at this month of September. And so we look forward to have a collaborative and working relationship. And we want that she will use her power judiciously and work clearly, because that very Security Council has been led by scammers, and that they initially has abandoned the purpose in which that was created, the Security Council. If William Churchill of Great Britain, those were the leaders that formed the United Nations that we now see today, in all those powerful leadership, especially William Churchill of Great Britain. He knew that there was a chaos going around the world, and especially the bombardment that was being occurred by the German under Adolf Hitler invasion. He couldn't believe what he had seen and what he saw. And that Germany were almost override the entire continental state of Europe. And so Germany under Adolf Hitler, and the most brilliant individual, William Churchill, knew that the country is cast. Britain was cast. And he saw the vision. And the visionary leader is the one that is able to rally his people for the common good of the nation. But William Churchill didn't foresee only just Britain as alone, but he see the global hemisphere of the entire world. And so in doing so, United Nations was formed. But today, the United Nations has been deviated from the original objective in which it was created, and has been filled with the scammers. And you have people like the current Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. It is imperative that they look at the office, the purpose in which United Nations office was created. Because if they look at the exact objective in which United Nations office was created, then it will be imperative that they understand the value of human dignity. But unfortunately, it has become a scammer, the United Nations, led by the current Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. And so, people of Ambazonian, we are wondering whether is that the world we are building for the 21st century? A world that is filled with the most corrupted individuals. For example, the fact is clear. Southern Cameroon is not any society that is fighting for liberation. Southern Cameroon, now the Federal Republic of Ambazonian, is not a place, as most people often use the word Cameroon, part of the English-speaking Cameroon. We are not part of the English-speaking Cameroon. We are citizens of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia that is asking La Republic to leave the territory of Ambazonia. So we are not part of English-speaking Cameroon, because in 1961, when the vote was casted at the United Nations, it wasn't casted as Southern Cameroon part of La Republique. It was casted as citizens of Southern Cameroon as a nation. So the fact that we choose to cohabit with La Republique doesn't give La Republique a credibility in which the world community will be describing Southern Cameroon, now Federal Republic of Ambazonia, as the English speaking of a neighboring country, La Republique. I hope that statement is clear. When the United Nations in 1961 voting for the independence of Southern Cameroon, they didn't vote as part of La République. And that is clear. They voted as a nation. As a nation. And that is what the United Nations did in 1961. And when the United Nations voted for La République in 1960, United Nations did not vote as part of Southern Cameroon. It voted as a nation of that country. And therefore, our people is not subject to La République control. The fact that we have remained silent for the past 56 years doesn't give La République an occupied force in Southern Cameroon. So if the world want to use the word, the choice of their word, they need to use it rightly and appropriately. We are not part of Cameroon, the English-speaking part of Cameroon, as most media often prescribe. We are a Southern Cameroon, now the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. In 1960, the vote at the United Nations, La République was not. Let's take, for example, when the United Nations voted for Nigeria as an independent country in 1960, the Biafra was part of Nigeria. That doesn't mean that the Biafra cannot secede, so long as there is ample evidence that there is abusive of Nigerian central government against the people of Biafra. They have an upper right to choose what they want, and it is the obligation of the United Nations to recognize their wishes. But the fact that the Biafra was part of Nigeria during the 1960 that was voted by the United Nations, that case is different as compared to our own case. We, the people of Ambazonia, in 1961, when the United Nations voted, La République, the terrorist government of La République, was not part of the Southern Cameroon. And in doing so, the people should be able to use their word clearly and don't distort the origin of word and discredit your information that you presented to the world community. If La République, if littoral province, if Western province choose to secede from La République, that is part of La République, that in 1960, the United Nations vote on January 1, recognizing the independence of La République, the littoral province or the Western province was part of that document that was submitted. And so the people of Ambazonia in 1961, in submitting their document for independence by the British Crown, La République wasn't part of that document. And if La République wasn't part of that document, then La République cannot claim over the people of Ambazonia. So we have decided, and that moving forward with the sovereignty of Ambazonia. And that is why I am making this point continuously for a better education for those individuals that lack the coherent factual information. What are the people of Ambazonia fighting? We have lived for the past 56 years. And so now our people, because we have tabled every memorandum to the United Nations, to the OAU, to United States, to Great Britain, to every arm of government. And we have indicated our positions. Our position statement is clear. And our vision for the sovereignty of our people is clear. We will not in any circumstances condone with any of La République in the Southern Cameroon. We are moving forward and we will use every available means to secure and maintain the sovereignty of our people. Our people need their freedom. They need to decide their destiny. We need to build a nation that recognizes the value of the people of Ambazonia. So, our people, we have a certain individuals within our midst that they choose a terrorist government to manage and control our aspect of life. We will not in any circumstances condone with those individuals, although they are still in the point of denial. I talked a few days ago about a certain psychologist. Psychologists, Cover Rose, define the stages of dying, and he classified the stages of dying into 5 categories. And La Republic fall in those categories, including our own brothers and sisters that have not in final stage acknowledged that we have moved forward. Because they are in the point of denial to accept the reality that we are no longer part of La Republic and that we have moved forward and we are now in a different stages. And often those who are in denial are not willing to accept the truth. They believe that sometimes, somehow, the people are going to abandon. But unfortunately, we are persuading and we are enforcing the sovereignty and the dignity of the people of Ambazonian nations. I have some individuals that is in, especially in Northern Zone, that called Lele l'Afrique. Lele l'Afrique is the current La Republique appointed officials that is still residing in Southern Cameroon. I've given him ample time, whether he takes it seriously or whether he doesn't. But it is a matter of time. It is a matter of time. I have given him that terrorist of La Republique called the governor, who is Lele l'Afrique. I know he hasn't accepted the reality. He hasn't believed it. But it is a matter of time. We have asked all La Republique that are currently residing in Southern Cameroon to relocate immediately. We have asked all the La Republique agents that has been appointed that are presiding in Southern Cameroon that they need to relocate to La Republique and allow the sovereignty of the people of Ambazonia. We will not in any circumstances condone with those individuals. So, fellow citizens of the United States, our fellow broad nations, the great nations on earth, the United States. I am bringing this because many people have not fully embraced and they haven't seen it. La Republique is conducting an election in La Republique. But we, the people of Ambazonia, doesn't recognize La Republique deciding on election. So any individuals that want to see what is going to happen, they want to test what is going to happen, there shall be not any individual, any effigy of La Republique that is going to be conducted in the southern Cameroon. No any individual or any effigy, someone or any particular individual holding an effigy, whether it's a flag of La Republique, whatever stood as that identified La Republique in southern Cameroon, we have warned this as people haven't taken it seriously. Anything that you hold or you held within you that identify you as a La Republic, then you ought to be in La Republic and holding such a document, because you shouldn't, in any circumstances, holding such a document in Southern Cameroon territory. We will begin to issue documents that represent the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. We will not, in any circumstances, allow any effigy of La Republic. For those who have ears, take it seriously. For those who have eyes, open your eyes seriously. For those who have mind, pay attention. For those who deliberately ignore, well, you will be a prime example as we speak about this, that the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is now a nation and is moving forward with its implementations. So no individual still bearing the effigy of La Republique in any circumstances should be able to participate in Southern Cameroon. When the time has come that we will establish a bilateral relationship with La Republique, and we shall in due course define the terms of the bilateral relationship with the neighboring country, La Republique. And that bilateral relationship or bilateral cooperation shall have the terms of the agreement and how we should operate with La Republique, and that will be defined in the Southern Cameroon according to the Southern Cameroon Ambazonian constitutions. For those who are in the point of denial, denial is that they haven't fully accepted reality. They're still very confused. They're still very sad. They haven't moved forward. They haven't. And so when the greatest theory cover roles knew the stages of people dying or the stages in which people grieving, they grieve two different aspects. And in one of those aspects of dying, they are in a point of denial. They don't accept the reality. They don't accept the fact. And because they don't accept the fact, they are in a point of denial. I don't think I am going to die. I don't think I am seeing La Republique living. I don't think I'm seeing a different nation emerging. So the people of Ambazonia is now a nation, and they will not in any circumstances or tolerate any involvement of La Republique in the Southern Cameroon territory. And so those who are in the point of denial, it's time now you come to the point of acceptance. We know that during the process of grieving, people move through different stages. In a certain stage, they are in the depression mood. And in a certain stage, they are in depression mood. And those in depression moods can stagnate it for a long time. And those in a depression mood can be stagnated for a very long time because they don't accept and they don't want to believe it. But they are in very depressed mood and they believe that something gonna change. And people in depressive mood are very angry. And that is why you find La Republique and those subsequent followers of La Republique. And so I am here to let you know that the people of Ambazonia has moved forward. So the people of Ambazonia need your support, especially all of us, because the leadership at the back home, they are already engaged with La Republique. So we need to fortify them by providing all the necessary tools that the southern zone needed to be able to overcome the terrorist government of La Republique that is mainly in our territory. And so therefore my message is clear that all of us in the diaspora, that it's time that we join the momentum because we are paying close attention for those who are participating for this onward movement of the freedom of the people of Ambazonia. there are certain individuals that are in the point of bargaining. Please, will you just allow it for one more time? Let's see whether La Republic will change. And so there are certain individuals amongst us that are in the stages of Comoros, stages of dying. They are now bargaining. Say, please, Ambazonian, allow us for another one more time. Allow us, because La Republic is hoping. La Republic thinks that they can change. No. A terrorist government under the Comoros stages of dying doesn't change. And so it's now, for the past 56 years, in a series of subsequent meetings, that we have attempted to talk to La Republic to understand the goal and our objectives. And we have meet a nightmare. And so bargaining is the stages of dying according to the Comoros. And so therefore, in bringing this attention that those who are bargaining, that give us some few days, give us some 1 month, give us some 1 week, give us some 1 year, they are going to change. No, they are not going to change on the stages of Comoros of dying. So La Republic is not going to be changing in any time soon. So therefore, we have moved forward. We are bringing this to the world community that Ambazonia is no longer part of La Republic. Ambazonia is now a sovereign nation and is using every available tools to fortify and immediately terminate the relationship with the terrorist government of La Republic. We will not in any circumstances condone or embracing a terrorist government of La Republic. You all can see from the behavior of a terrorist government, they have no mercy. Their military is the worst that you can ever find. They have no ethics. A government, an effective government, is the government that has a vision. And the vision must be specified. An effective government. So the government of Ambazonia shall have a vision. And that vision shall be specified. And that vision shall be evaluated based on progress that has been made. That's the government that I'm looking forward to have in Ambazonia. I am looking at a government that the citizens can evaluate the effectiveness and efficiency of the government progress. And that progress shall be published in a report indicating the overall progress of the Federal Republic of Ambazonian government. That's the government that I have seen. That's the government that have a vision. That's the government, I believe that an authentic government of Ambazonia is the one that has the vision for the common good of all people, of the citizens of Ambazonia. We shall in no circumstances have a government, a terrorist government in southern Cameroon that goes above the Constitution. The Constitution shall be a document that covers all citizens, both the born and the unborn citizens of Ambazonia. And those within and those outside Ambazonia shall have a participatory government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, that every citizen will be part of that government. La Republic, for those who are still in the point of denial. And no, I understand your deep frustrations. I understand you are in the point of denial. I understand because you have been benefiting from La Republic. But not Ambazonia is benefiting from La Republic. You all can witness the hospital setting. When I travel to my own areas and I met the content of the hospital, it was the disgusting that you can ever find. And yet, we have lived with La Republic for the past 56 years. And you are asking me, you are bargaining with me that we should allow the terrorist government for one more time. No. My answer is no. We have gone above that level. And so there shall be no election that is conducted by La Republic in southern Cameroon territory. We will use every available means and to ensure that La Republic leave the southern Cameroon. And so for those who want to see exactly what's going to happen, we shall consider you as the enemy of the state of Ambazonian. We shall not be romancing with those who ignore the reality and fail to accept the reality that we have moved forward and that we are now a sovereign nation. We understand that they are already planning to cut the internet. As soon as the internet is cut, make sure that all the link between us and La Republique is immediately suppressed. Because once we cut those links between La Republique and the southern Cameroon, that is where we're the beginning of Waterloo. Because we have taken these drastic measures because we have got enough. We have got enough of La Republique, and we will not in any circumstances condole with La Republique. So I am speaking now, I am asking Lele Lafrique, who is the terrorist La Republique representative currently residing in Ambazonia. We are giving you ample time, but because the time we decide to go after you as an individual, it will be less time for you to react. As we have made it clear, I am speaking here to Lele Lafrique. I know he just written a letter or whatever he call it and posted that he limit the time of movement. You can only do that in La Republique and not in Ambazonia. We are just monitoring you very closely. Lele Afrique, we are monitoring you very closely. You shall take a prompt, you shall get a prompt response, and our response is going to be drastic, and it's not going to be a Lele Lafrique, this message is for you. We have asked you, we have given you ample time to relocate to La Republique and leave the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. And those in the southwest, we have given you ample time to relocate. I'm sure they haven't accepted the reality. I understand their point of denial. I understand their point of bargaining. I understand their point. But I have a good news for you, Mr. Lele Lafrique. That it is a matter of time and our calculations. As soon as we get the right math, then we will release the answer to you. Yes, we are working on our calculation. We are finding the formula. We might use geometry progressions. We might use different mathematical formula, but we are still working to narrow our answer so that we will have 4 selections. And once we have 4 selections out of the total multiple choice, that is when we're going to respond to you, and it's going to be swift, and it's going to be drastic, and it's going to be chaotic. But one thing we have made our point clear: leave the Southern Cameroon territory, leave Ambazonia, and relocate to La Republique, and allow the citizens deals with their. We understand the mess that has already been caused. We were going to build from scratch and start Ambazonia to a new, different level. But we are asking you, take this as a matter of seriousness. Because when the time we come after you, and there shall be no romancing. There shall be no romancing with you. And those in the Southwest, we are making this statement clear. Fellow citizens of the United States, our people has been going through chaotic scene. We've been having a terrorist government that affecting the life of our people. Our people grew up, believe in a government of ample representative, a government that the people knew that they have elected people that are accountable to themselves. But unfortunately, we found an organization of La Republique. We hope that we could build a more vast population and have a diversified view for the common good of our people. But unfortunately, we met in the most brutal terrorist system, and that we have come to the final conclusion. Maybe people of the United States are not aware of this. But however, United States, we are at war. Our people is at war. And the common enemy that is fighting us at war is La Republique. And so our people is ready to defend our sovereignty. We will not collide. We will not take this lightly. Maybe United States is not aware of the factor, but I cannot believe you because CIA wrote an extensive report about the sovereignty of the people of Ambazonian. The CIA is a government agency. It's a government agency here in the United States that deal mostly of the foreign issues in different international community. And many people may not aware what is the function of the CIA. So CIA have an exclusively written report about the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, the Southern Cameroon territory. Under the time of the British colonial, I can't imagine that Britain will choose to deliver the United Nations document to a terrorist government to rule our people. And here I am speaking here, letting Britain understand that La Republique cannot on deciding the future of Ambazonia. Our people should be able to decide the future of Ambazonia. So we are asking Britain that what was the back of your choice when you choose the document that was signed by the United Nations and delivered on a foreign force to control our lives? Because of what? Lack of trust, despite the fact that La Republique has not exhibited any meaningful government that one can ever trust. Because our people have been living under a repressive system. But our people has come to the conclusion that we must rise as one people and defend the sovereignty of Ambazonia. I want to thank all of you that are listening. That if you have not been part of these deliberations, I urge you to choose now and act appropriately. Be part of this liberations movement because there is no way that the liberation movement is going to stop somehow. The liberation movement of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is already moving forward. So I urge those who are still in the denial, those who haven't embraced it, I encourage you to be part of this movement. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind. Because whatever you stay behind, you may have difficulty catching up or meeting up with this. So I want to take a moment to thank all of you that are in Ground Zero, that we are together, and that everything that we provide it for the important that freedom is never given. Freedom is always fought for. And freedom has always been fought for that freedom. Remember, the German unification was proclaimed in the House of Mirror in Paris, the most expensive house in Paris. And today, Germany is one of the leading power in Europe. And so power is never given, it's always fought for. And sometimes it can be very severe. And so the people of Ambazonia are bringing this attention to the United States government that we will not longer, in any circumstances, condone with La Republique, a terrorist government in Southern Cameroon. So we are doing everything. If you've been harassed by the terrorist government of La Republique, you need to look where the Amber boys are. Very soon we will establish a hotline number that will allow you to call whenever you find a terrorist government of La Republique soldiers that are currently residing or patrol any area in Ambazonia. We haven't had a military bilateral relationship with La Republique, and so they don't have any legal to participate or patrol in our territory. So if you meet any terrorist government of La Republique penetrating or working within the vicinity of Ambazonia, call the hotline and let them know, because we are going to introduce a hotline number that will allow the swift response by our defense system against the terrorist government of La Republique that are continuously participating in our territory. Until we sign a bilateral relationship with La Republique, then they can be able to participate in our territory. And since we haven't established any bilateral relationship under the federal government of Ambazonia, so we are urging those individuals that when you find La Republique terrorists participating or immediately alert the hot numbers and they will respond swiftly, drastically, and enforce it. I want to take a moment to thank all of you that are watching. that we have come to the conclusion that the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is now a nation, and our people are doing everything they can to ensure that we move forward with our sovereignty. I want to take a moment to thank all of you that have been watching, all of you in and around the world. Ask how can you be part of this movement? How can you contribute? Contributions add to a swift realization of the sovereignty of Ambazonia. I want to thank all of you for watching and have a good night. It was Funto Daniel speaking here from the great state of Texas here in the United States. Ambazonia, we love you.